Okay, great. Hello, today is Wednesday, July 5th, 2023 at 3:38 p.m. and we are calling the Public Infrastructure and Utilities Committee meeting to order. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Alderman Vollmer. Alderwoman Keys. Alderman Browning.
Present.
Alderman Aldrich. Chair Schweitzer.
Present.
Alderman Vollmer. Alderwoman Keys. Alderwoman Keys.
Aye, I'm sorry, I'm here.
Alderman Aldrich.
Your volume's not working, Alderman. Yeah, come out and come back in. We'll just carry on. Okay. So the next thing we have is the approval of the minutes from June 28th, 2023. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes for June 28th, 2023?
So moved.
Second,
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll? Looks like we might have a frozen clerk. We lost a clerk. We have no clerk now. Okay, we are in the middle of a vote. Our clerk was kicked off of the Zoom, so hopefully she's coming back now. Wonderful. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll for the vote of the approval of the minutes for June 28th, 2023? You're muted.
Alderman Vollmer. Alderwoman Keys.
aye.
Alderman Browning.
Aye.
Alderman Aldrich.
Aye.
Chair Schweitzer.
Aye.
Alderman Vollmer. We have 4 aye votes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. So we will move on to board bills for review. Item number 1, we have Board Bill 79. Alderman Velasquez is not able to make it today, so I will just carry her bill for her. I've talked to her about it a little bit. Madam Clerk, can you please read the summary of that bill?
One moment, please. Board Bill number 79, introduced by Alderwoman Daniela Velasquez, pursuant to ordinance number 70333 as amended by ordinance number 71394. The proposed bill directs the Director of Streets to install speed humps to calm the flow of traffic on the 4000 block of Hartford Street, 3700 block of Gustine Avenue, 3500 block of Giles Avenue, 3200 block of Hawthorne Boulevard, 3400 block of Hawthorne Boulevard, 3200 block of Longfellow Boulevard, and 3400 block of Longfellow Boulevard.
Thank you. I will just give a little bit more color to this. These are speed humps that Alderman Velasquez tells me have been kind of in the line to get installed. They are speed humps that were entered into CityWorks and approved by Streets before the recent turnover and going from 28 wards to 14. So they're all in old Ward 15, old Ward 6 that Alderman Velasquez now represents. So these are speed humps that were already sort of in line and moving forward and just didn't have a bill yet. So she wanted to make sure to try to get this in before we go down for recess. Mr. Vice Chair, if you're able to kind of take over the question period, that would be very helpful.
Sure thing. So we'll start in order of seniority. Alderwoman Keys, do you have any questions about this?
Thank you. No questions at this time.
Thank you. Alderman Aldridge.
Thank you. No questions.
Okay. I also have no questions. I think this is familiar with the area and familiar with the issues that they're trying to address here. And so looking forward to passing this out of committee. Alderman Schweitzer, do you have any questions about the bill that you're presenting that you'd like to answer for yourself?
No, I did ask Alderman Velasquez about these speed humps and how they came to be. So I like I said, they're ones that have been in the works for a while, and the previous alderman had worked with the constituents to find these locations. And I believe Alderwoman from the 15th was working off of a traffic study that she had done ward-wide, and these were speed humps that were part of what had been recommended by that study.
Excellent. Okay, well, if no one has any more questions, I will entertain a motion to pass out of committee with a do pass recommendation.
So moved. So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by the alderman from the 14th, seconded by the alderwoman from the 1st. Do I hear a call for previous roll?
I wasn't on the previous row because my microphone wasn't working. So could we do
In
a
which
roll
case,
call?
clerk, could you please call roll?
Alderman Vollmer, Alderwoman Keys,
Aye.
Alderman Browning,
Aye.
Alderman Aldrich,
Aye.
Chair Schweitzer,
Aye.
Alderman Vollmer. We have 4 aye votes.
Okay, by your vote, we've passed this out of committee with a do pass recommendation. Congratulations to Alderwoman Velasquez. And let's proceed with the meeting, handing it back to Chair Schweitzer.
Thank you so much. I think that was her first bill in committee, so she did a good job organizing us to make sure it got done. Just which is good. Teamwork. So we have no resolutions for review. In the committee discussions piece, we talked about this a little bit during the meeting last week, that the administration and several folks in it are coming to present to us next week regarding the update on the mobility plan and some of the ARPA funds that have been used for working on streets and traffic calming within our city. So to prepare for that, I wanted to make sure everyone had as much as possible in terms of information about where the city has gone with some of its policies around complete streets, around mobility issues, around traffic calming. And so in our discussion folder today, you'll notice that we have the previous complete streets ordinance that was passed in the city of St. Louis. And I do want to share my screen to have that up for us. Well, it says host disabled participant screen sharing. So hopefully when the clerk gets back, we can fix that. But if you are looking at ordinance 68663 regarding complete streets, it talks about all of the different things that the city is supposed to be doing every time that it does work on streets. Anytime that all of that our streets are being worked on, and what needs to happen on those streets regarding being prepared for all different users of the roads. So that's something that I'm hopeful everyone has a chance to review before next week's meeting. Again, this is in the drive, as well as we have a few other things in our drive that I'm hoping folks can take time to review as well, including the dig once policy. What that is that's ordinance 70924, and that ordinance is governing when and how often construction and excavation that disrupts the right-of-way can occur in the city of St. Louis. And it's not something that I feel like I know that it's not being followed. Basically what happens is it divides the city up into multiple different zones, and then utility work is supposed to happen in each of those zones sort of piecemeal, so that zone 1 would be all done at the same time, and zone 2, so forth. And it lays out some process of how that would happen and how that should work. So that's something that I think also is really applicable when we're considering how our street work is done in the city, especially when we think about how often we're either having utility work done over a recently paved street, or making sure that the communication is there between the utilities and the city. So that's another bill that I would hope our committee is familiar with before our discussion next week. Then another one in the folder we have is ordinance 71157, which has to do with the blocking of sidewalks during construction. That bill is about sidewalk closures and has to do, I think, a lot with how we make sure that people can still get around even when there's construction happening, and that the sidewalk user isn't just made to either walk in an unsafe zone or it's not actually being followed. So that's something that I'm hopeful that everyone again can also review. And then finally, regarding bills that we've passed through the Board of Aldermen, the information provided from the mayor's office regarding the locations for all of the ARPA funds for repaving and traffic calming, and then the map of that is also in the folder in case you all could not find that in your emails. And then the one piece regarding, as we move through this mobility plan and the studies that are happening in the city, to be thoughtful about how other cities have done this sort of work. There is a document in our discussions entitled Best Complete Streets Policies 2023, which was put together by Smart Growth America and the National Complete Streets Coalition. And it goes over a bunch of the planning processes that other cities and states have done to make sure that their roads are good for, again, all users of the streets. So not just aimed to drivers, but really for everyone who's using our roads, pedestrians, cyclists, people in wheelchairs, children, so forth. So I would hope that everyone has a chance also to review that before our next meeting next week, so that we can really be ready to ask questions and know that we play our role as aldermen to make sure that these sort of best practices and the ordinances that we've already passed are actually being followed as we move forward with the implementation of all of this ARPA money and all of the money we spend on streets every day anyway. With that, I'll pass it over to committee members to see if anyone has any questions or comments or any information that they want to have in order to be prepared for our discussion next week. I don't see Alderman Keys. Are you there? Vice Chair Browning, do you want to start?
Sure. First of all, thank you for putting these resources together for us. I really appreciate that. I did already take a look through them and we'll be reviewing them some more before our meeting next week. I do have a lot of curiosity around why we're not following the Dig Once policy. And I understand it's hard to predict that kind of work sometimes, especially when, say, like within a 5-year period, development might happen that tears up the street. But I do think it's a big question mark as to why we're not having the entire street repaved instead of just patched. I read the ordinance. It's pretty clear that the entire area needs to be redone. We're clearly not following that. And furthermore, it stipulates that if we do not follow that there should be a sum of money that's paid as a result in order so that it can be, repaid at a later date. That is a question for me too, because if that money is being paid, where is it going, and how come we then go to repave it and it comes out of our ward capital? That money isn't going to cushion the cost of repaving that street. So lots of questions. I think the state of our roads speaks for itself. The status quo right now is pretty awful. And so we have a lot of work to do. And I hope the committee takes this very seriously, because it's a big problem that we need to fix.
Thank you. That's a really important flag. I'll make sure that those questions are shared with the administration before we have our meeting next week, so they can have, make sure that they have someone who's going to be able to answer some of those questions ready. Alderman Aldridge.
Thank you. Can you hear me? I know I was having mic issues.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Also, thank you for putting this this great drive together of bills and ordinance that was passed in the past, and also some resource guides. I think it would be good next meeting if some way we can make this public so the community can see. I think one of the good streets policy kind of data that you put out there is just very interesting, and I think will potentially could be helpful for us moving forward here in the city of St. Louis. I know it's a lot of people that are concerned and interested in this committee, have talked about it when they came and testified. So making that public somehow I think would be great. Just to be clear, as I'm looking, is the ordinance or board bill, and I'm pulling the drive up. This is what happens when you have so many tabs. Like, which tab is it? Which is it?
I feel your pain.
120, was that the infrastructure bill?
Yes, that was the ARPA fund. Yes, it's ordinance 71650.
Okay, awesome. Just I have some questions about that. I know it was just like recently passed, so I'm sure the administration can be helpful in letting us know where the progress is on that and some of the things that was allocated. One in particular, I'm just interested about because I've gotten calls on it. So if it's on record, hopefully the department or the administrative is looking. I know there was about 200,000 that went to Hyde Park area for upgrading the park. I know Alderman Cone had an amendment for 200 to kind of go to Gravois Park or Marquette Park, one of the parks in his area. But just curious about where's the stage of that, and then curious about some of the other projects that was in that bill. So look forward to having a conversation with the administration to just get an update, understanding that these funds was recently allocated and it's been taking some time to get the construction and the shovel in the ground, but I think like most of us on this board, especially new, want to know what is the update on that. So I appreciate being able to have that conversation as we go into spring break or summer break, that we could be able to let our constituents know on some of these ARPA dollars that have been approved by the last board and where they're heading at now.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I see that in the drive that some of the attachments for Board Bill 120 are in there, but the actual Board Bill and ordinance, I don't believe is in the drive. So I'll make sure that that is before our discussion next week. I agree that some of this stuff it's good just to have a chance to hear from the administration about where it is and how everything's going to move forward. So Alderwoman Keys, do you have anything to add to the discussion?
Unfortunately, I missed the discussion. My internet dropped out again. It's very spotty today. So no questions.
Okay. To just give you a little overview, we are having the administration come next week, several folks from the administration to give an update on the mobility plan and the ARPA funds that have been allocated for street traffic and repaving and traffic calming. And so in that discussion, made sure that there were some bills that have been previously passed by the Board of Aldermen regarding the Complete Streets policy and the Dig Once policy and some of the sidewalk when there's construction, how sidewalks have to be maintained, some of those policies to make sure that, you know, we're not only spending the ARPA money, but also how are we making sure that these ways of making sure that all of our ordinances are met, as well as the just like spirit of them are met as we move forward, so that, you know, we don't spend all this money now and then utility workers come through 6 months later and the whole street's torn up and we have no plan for what to do about that. So I just wanted to make sure the committee was prepared and try to see what else people might need or want to have available to them before our meeting next week.
Okay, thank you so much for kind of bringing me up to speed. Excuse me. No, I don't have any questions at this time.
Okay. So, you know, I will know hopefully by sometime today exactly who will be coming and who will be there, and I'll make sure to share that with the committee. It'll be over Zoom as well. I imagine we will have some members of the public interested in asking questions and giving comments and feedback, so we should expect that. But I saw their presentation from the administration to the Community Mobility Committee last week, so it is a pretty thorough presentation of what the plan is with ARPA funds and how those are moving forward. So I think it'll be pretty good for the committee to hear from that and have it be more of a public forum as well. if anyone else has any, and to your point, Alderman Alders, one thing I did want to say is, I'm hoping from this discussion and from our review of these board bills, if we start finding flags of things either not being followed or things that aren't clear enough, I feel like that should be what really helps inform our work moving forward with what additional legislation we need to file and move through our committee. So we're meeting our goals of our resolution to really address traffic violence and, how all of this works and moves forward based on our policy that we have in the city of St. Louis now and going forward. So I hope everyone has some time between now and then to just review these documents and be ready to ask questions and to really dive into the discussion. Okay, we will move on with our agenda. Let's see, anyone have any announcements?
I have none.
Okay. We have no written testimony. I imagine I should have done that first.
No.
Excuse members. So I would like to excuse Alderman Vollmer for necessary absence. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
We need a second.
I think Alderman Browning seconded. Okay, awesome, wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate you all being here and being willing to have this discussion. Have a good one. See you next time.
Bye.